Hello, YouTube family. It's a gloomy day here in Houston, but I got a guest for us that's going to brighten up our day. I got a gentleman here that's legendary in the track and field in the high school area here in Houston, Texas. Today is March the 6th. So I try to time stamp these videos so in between every other week or third, you know what week we're responding to. So what I would ask you guys to do, as I always do before we get started, is hit that like button, that subscribe button, hit that bell, and go out and share it with some friends. And down below, please write a comment. Please write a comment and let me know what you think about the show, the topics we discussed today, the guests I had today. I need your feedback. I am so appreciative of my audience continuing to grow, so I know that it's getting out. I had a few people hit me up personally saying, I heard your show when you said, like, yeah, I got people that watch me up in Dallas, in California, my relatives in Pennsylvania. I have a good friend in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, that is spreading the word for me. So once again, you know, this goes global. So spread the word that there's a sports talk show that's covering HBCUs, not just the SWAC, but the MEAC, the CIAA, the SIAC. We cover the whole gamut in black college athletic sports. And this gentleman today is one of the past participants at a HBCU in track and field, and he took what he learned at Texas Southern as a flying tiger to become one of the great high school coaches here in the Houston, Texas area, in the state of Texas, not just Houston, in the state of Texas. I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, Womack Development Company and Realtor, and Morgan & Associates Dental. So with that, what I'm going to do is, as we generally do, go off into recent news that's occurred in, one more time, in the HBCU world, and there are a few things that I want to cover. We're going to start off with, first of all, Fisk. My daughter always tells me, Daddy, you got to put some women stories into your show. So I'm going to start my show off with Fisk University qualifies for USA Gymnastics. Now, let that sink in. You've always only seen, well, at least I have, only seen white universities participating in gymnastics on an NCAA level. So, but Fisk University qualifies for the USA Gymnastics, and they even have a gymnast that's from Texas. Her name is Liberty Morrow. So we want to give a shout out to Fisk University and send them their flowers and let them know that all the HBCU nation will be following them and pulling for them. Next, we have something that I used to be, but no longer is. And I'm going to pull in my guest on this. We generally talk and then the guest comes in, but I've started now letting the guest participate in the sporting news. Coach, good to have you on the show.
Pleasure to be here.
What I want to ask you is, can you remember when in college freshmen didn't play football? Didn't play football in college.
And it goes a long way back. You can even go back to when the Mannings were in football. They had freshman teams.
Right.
And they didn't allow the guys to do it, the freshmen to play.
Right.
So it doesn't just start now. It went back for a while. But like I also say something that the Fisk University team in gymnastics one of the finest in the country.
Right.
And when they started that program, at first they didn't even get funded. And then they got a black sponsor to come in and fund the program. And now the girls are off the chain. They've won several competitions this year at major universities, okay? And now they're also getting ready to go to the NCAAs. And they do have a great program. I guarantee you that some of those kids are going to actually be in the finals of the individual events as well as the overall competition.
Family, I was not aware of this, but this is FYI. This is great information. Now, Coach, I know We may not say it verbatim, but I want you to let the people know once again what you know about this university's gym program, gymnastic program.
Well, basically, I kept up with it once I heard that they were going to start it, and then that they really didn't get enough funding at first. And then they had an entrepreneur to come in. I don't remember the gentleman's name. I think it's one of the past alumnus of Fisk University. And when they came in and backed it, because when you start gymnastics, you got to set up a whole different area for them.
Right.
You have to, with the uneven bars, the parallel bars, the horses and everything that they use, the pommel horse, all the stuff. When you do that, you got to have a situation where you can put people in and have the place for them to train and practice. You know, you can't just go in and they just start doing gymnastics. Right. But they got quality young ladies that normally, if they weren't at Fisk, they would be at LSU and UCLA and the other schools in the SEC and other places competing. But now they're competing at a major HBCU, which is also a great medical school.
For sure.
Okay, and other thing that they have there, because you know Meharry's across the street from there, so you got Fisk with all of these things happening, and I think it's a great thing to happen.
I do also, and I just hope that maybe some other black universities can piggyback on this. But it's going to take what Coach brought up, and that was his funding.
Right.
That's always a major word. Okay, so Fisk University qualifies. Now, we were talking about freshmen not being able to play back in the day. Back in the day was one of my sayings, Coach. Back in the day, they couldn't play. Guess what? St. Augustine University in the CIAA, they are Division II.
Right.
They are going to make a first and second year players play at least 6 games if they want to. Now, these are going to be players that don't currently have scholarships. But if you want to walk on at St. Augustine, you can walk on and play on a JV. They are actually going to have a JV. And I read that they can make the varsity and earn scholarships eventually. Howard is going to be another one of them. Yeah. Howard University is going to be another one. And speaking of St. Augustine University just hired a new head football coach, Howard Figgins. He's the former head coach at Fayetteville. As I tell you all, we don't just do SWAC. We do all of the HBCU colleges. And so what we're doing now is I'm going to hit on a personal note on Larry Little. Coach, remember who Larry Little was?
Great football player. Great footballer. Heck of a lineman.
Heck of a lineman for the Miami Dolphins. Well, Coach, they just named a street in Overton, Florida, which is inside of Miami, because we had quite a few guys that come from Overton, Texas Southern University. Right. And so that's how I know about them, family, Overton, because we're asking the guys from Florida, you from Miami? He said, yeah, I'm from Miami, but we from Overton. Yeah.
City within the city.
There you city within the city, like this right here, 3rd Ward, Texas.
That's right, 5th Ward, Texas.
And 5th Ward. Coach represents 5th Ward, Texas. I know he's with, the largest city in Houston. I got that. I know he's probably right now wondering, if you told me you were going to have your 3rd Ward stuff on, Rose, I would have put my 5th Ward stuff on. But that's okay. That's okay. And I'm a transplanted 3rd Ward guy because I'm from Waco, Texas. Coach, give me something. Give me Coach. Coach knows my high school. That's how tough we was. That's how tough we was. People in Houston, and when you said to Dallas people, they started shaking.
The old PVIL was tough back then. So you had everything.
Everything. Yeah. Kids out of East Texas, all of them. But anyway, going on that personal note, Larry Little, a Hall of Famer from tiny Bethune-Cookman University in in Daytona, Florida. He has had a street named after him in Overton, a city within Miami, as Coach said. Okay, a couple more things on other colleges. Wells Fargo has signed on to sponsor the MEAC basketball conference. They're going to donate, well, not actually sponsor the whole tournament, because $100,000 won't sponsor the whole tournament, Coach, but it'll help significantly. It helps. So Wells Fargo is going to give the MEAC basketball tournament $100,000, and I want to give them a hand for doing that, because our HBCUs need all the help financially that we can get. It's no secret that the only reason why we're not on par with an Alabama, Auburn, A&M, or Texas, we don't have the money, Coach.
Absolutely.
We don't have the money.
Their funding needs to be there for all HBCUs, regardless of the conference or the place that they're in.
For sure. For sure. Okay, and now I'm going to talk transfer portal just for one school, and that's my school and Coach's school, and that's TSU. Coach, we got a great pickup, I think, over the weekend. We got this kid from Jamar Young, 6'9", from Memphis University. Okay, he's going to be transferring in for his last senior year to play at Texas Southern. I talked with Coach Jones, congratulating him after his win in the SWAC tournament, and I told him, I said, Coach, what we going to do? We losing all our big guys. He told me, Rose, I got some stuff in the works, so don't sweat it. And I see that he wasn't just talking to me, Coach. He wasn't just talking to me, Coach. We got a 6'9" kid coming from Memphis. What do you think the addition of him will do for our team?
I think it's going to be a great addition because we have a balance of players. And we have a lot of young players that's there too that's coming up, and they're proving that they are quality. So you get someone in from a school that has had a history of great basketball, and then you bring him in and allow him to mingle and mix in. And once they get under Coach Jones' formula, a system, so to speak, then it's going to make a big difference in the whole situation. But the transfer portal itself is the key right now to any successful program. Because a lot of young kids are not even getting ready to being able to receive the scholarships in some senses because of the portal. Because they bring the kids in, so how am I going to pick you up if I just picked up this guy who's 7 foot tall from someone who has experience versus a youngster who doesn't? So if you don't really have the quality right now, as a young athlete going into school, the portal can also knock you out, even though the portal helps the program.
I feel what you're saying, Coach, because I think what you're saying is it's got to be a balance. I feel like I would always want at least one veteran player to come off that portal that's had experience on being there. And
well, that's going to help lead the younger kids because they're coming into college not knowing what college is like. They're coming in not knowing what you have to do class-wise and everything else. Now you got an older, more sophisticated player who has the ability to help set the formula for them to be successful.
For sure.
And that's a big thing on that.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do now is go off on one other thing. Winston-Salem University, Winston-Salem and the MEAC, they have gotten Chris Barnett to become their offensive coordinator. He was at North Carolina A&T. So that was a pretty good acquisition for them. They got Chris Barnett from North Carolina A&T. And then we have, in the SWAC, I'm now going to go over the baseball. Okay, we're in full swing in baseball, which is what I played at TSU. And I get a lot of people talking about baseball being dull and slow, but it's a good game if you just take your time and pick up on. Because a 1-0 game is a good game to me. Because you got a pitcher that has probably thrown a masterpiece if it's 1-0. Because here in the SWAC, I've left a game when TSU has been playing before and be up 4 runs, and the next day get the news, we won 10-9. I'm like, how's it 10-9? And when I left, it was 6-2. But in the SWAC, it ain't over until it's actually over when you're playing baseball. So, and I'm gonna give you an example in a minute. Right now, the standings for baseball is in the East: Alabama State 7-2. Bethune-Cookman 7-2, FAMU is 7-2, Jackson State is 3-6, Alabama A&M is 2-7, Mississippi Valley is 1-8. In the West, Grambling is 8-1, off to a fantastic start. Prairie View is 7-2. Now, Texas Southern played Prairie View this past weekend at the end of the month with the 30th, 31st, or something like that. So, because today is March the 6th, and a note on what I spoke of earlier, how the score can change in the SWAC so quickly. When I left the game they was playing Prairie View, the third game Sunday, they were up like 7-4, 5, And Prairie View tied the game up in the 9th to make it 9-9, and TSU won it in the 10th with a walk-off home. So in the SWAC, it goes all the way through the 9 innings. So Grambling is 8-1, Prairie View 7-2, TSU is 5-4, Southern is 5-4. They're the defending baseball tournament champs, and UAPB is 1-8, Alcorn is 1-8. Softball. Once again, this is from my daughter. She said, "Make I always talk about the female athletes, coach." And so in softball, in the East, Alabama State's 8-4, FAMU is 8-4, Bethune-Cookman 7-5, Alabama A&M is 6-6, so is Jackson State, and Valley, Mississippi Valley is 0-12. Prairie View is 12-0. Prairie View is threatening our record. Coach, you may know and you may not know, so this is trivia. Who's been the last, let me see how to phrase this. In that softball in the West, who has won the West title the last 6 years?
That's a good question. That one you got me on.
TSU has won the last 11 West titles in softball. Last
That's
11.
great.
It's super fantastic. That's when I got involved with them last year when I heard that. Prairie View is 12-0, so they look like they trying to threaten our record of continue to win. Prairie View 12-0, Grambling State is 9-3, TSU is 5-7, long season. They got another round to go. Southern is 4-8, Alcorn is 4-8, and UAPB is 2-10. And this week in baseball, Southern is at PV, Valley is at Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman is Alabama A&M, UAPB is at Alcorn State, and JSU is at FAMU, and TSU will be playing Grambling. A big baseball series in Grambling, Louisiana. With Grambling being 8-1, TSU definitely needs to win 2 of these games at least to get back into the mix.
I got some baseball trivia for you.
Okay.
Did you know that back in the day, Grambling was the jewel
For sure.
of baseball and the SWAC?
Yeah.
And that the president of the school, if I'm not mistaken, was the coach.
Yes.
Because that field was manicured. I know when I was recruited to go to play football in the run track, I was recruited by Grambling.
Okay.
So I went down on a visit and I saw the baseball field, and I thought it was better than what the Astros were playing.
Right.
At that time, the Colt 45s, whatever it was. But that was the jewel of that baseball back then.
It was Grambling, and then Southern was a tight second because Grambling had, trying to think of the center fielder that played with the Mets that won the World Series. Then they had the right fielder that came, Ralph Garr, that played with the Atlanta Braves. Then they had 2 more other guys that played in Major League Baseball. Then Southern quite naturally had Goodman, #1 draft choice. They had Luke Rock. Then Southern started having a lot of good players also. Right. So that's why I used to tell people all the time, in the SWAC, we played baseball in the 60s and 70s. The black kids, most of your better athletes played baseball. And so definitely, because I played football and was recruited to play football, and I decided, well, came to TSU, and I said, well, I think I made a pretty good decision. I saw Julius Adams and Ernie Holmes. Well,
I had a chance to see Buck Buchanan in the early '90s. And that's what made me understand that I was going to run track.
How big was Buck Buchanan when you got to Grambling?
Too big.
6'8",
well,
family. 6'8" in college at Grambling, about 250. And Ernie Ladd, about 6'7".
Yeah, walked in the cafeteria and I saw a guy walk out with 2 trays. One had a plate and a half a loaf of bread, and the other one had half a gallon of milk. I knew then that my football career was over. It was no way I wouldn't get hit by anybody again. No.
It is funny, Coach. That is funny because I had guys when I would come home be like, "You're not playing football." I said, "No, you never thought about it." I said, "I gave it a thought." Then I actually got right on top of Ernie Holmes, Julius Adams, and some of these other guys. And I was Phil Yard, Sid Nye. It was a guy named Carrington when you was running track. #1 draft choice of Philadelphia Eagles. Came from Florida. Then they started bringing all them great athletes from Florida. And I'm like, no, I think I'm going to play baseball. You know?
Because at that point, too, remember that one of the largest offensive lines in the SWAC was at Prairie View.
Right.
And then when you went outside of Prairie View, you were going to the guys at Tennessee State. And then you're talking about Florida A&M. Right? Yeah. Okay. So who would, no, I'm sorry.
They had the twins, the Wolf brothers at Prairie View.
I'm sorry.
I think they each were about 6'4", 6'5". 6'4", 6'5", 275 each one of them.
No way, bro.
No way. Okay. So this leads me off NBA. We got 2 other things to do, and we done, Coach. We're going to come to you. NBA, we got the Nuggets in first place in the West, Memphis Grizzlies, Sacramento Kings, and the Suns. Those are the top 4. Everybody knows I'm a Laker fan, so hold off on talking about me. Coach, whenever my Lakers get done, they be shooting me up pretty good. They be riding me pretty. I came on with my Laker gear when I started just about a year and a half, and we won in the bubble.
Okay.
And they said, okay. And then the next year after that we lost, they was like sending me emails. Now, when I ask them to email me down below and talk to me, they don't say them. But when my Lakers lost, I got all kinds of say, man, y'all gone fishing? Y'all.
Well, you got what you asked for. You got your response.
I got my response. So, but anyway, my Lakers, they keep trying to, my cousin thinks that we're going to bounce back. I don't see it. But for me in the West, it's going to be between the Nuggets, Memphis, Grizzlies, and the sleeper, the Sacramento Kings. I haven't given up on the Warriors, but I just don't think they're going to do it this year. And in the East, it's going to be the Bucks, Celtics, or the 76ers,
okay.
I think. And I'm leaning toward the Celtics, but the Bucks could beat them. They got Giannis, and anything is possible. And baseball, the Astros got off to a slow start, but we won a few games here recently. I think that as the season progresses and the new guys find their way, the Astros will be back in the mix by the time the season is halfway, Coach. What you think about that?
I believe you, because Astros normally don't always get off to a giant start.
Right.
And but as they're sort of like a good quarter horse. You know, when you get to the end of the race, end of that 400, they're ready to come home. So toward the end of the season, you're going to see a big change. Well, middle end of the season, and before All-Star, you're going to start seeing a big change.
Big change. So, family, without further ado, you've already heard him talk, and kind of met him. But let me give him a little intro. I ain't gonna embarrass him. He is a local homegrown athlete from, as he's told you already, the largest city in Houston, Texas, 5th Ward, Texas. And he went to the famous Phyllis Wheatley High School. And I say famous because anybody that knows basketball from back in the day, all you have to do is say Houston Wheatley. And so I know he's going to probably tell me, well, we had pretty good football and track teams also, but my recollection of Houston Wheatley, when you say Houston Wheatley, I think of basketball. Jackie Carr, and the Fat Pats team they had for 3 years, Dwight Jones, Alan Batro, Spider-Man, all these guys. That's what I think of. But this guy is from Houston Wheatley, 5th Ward, Texas, ran track at Texas Southern. He was a member of the Flying Tigers track team. And when I say Flying Tigers, it made me stick out my chest when I would go home in the summer during track season, or because track starts as we leave and going out. You guys run track meets, but then in the summer meets would be going on.
Right.
And without further ado, I want to introduce to you Andrew Blanks, the legendary coach here in Houston, Texas, at Westbury High School. One more time, Coach. Welcome into the show.
Thank you.
And I want you now, it's solely on you. It's your show now. I want you to tell the listening audience how you got started, what part. I've already said where you're from, but how did your love of track become, and how did you develop an attitude to continue in coaching?
Well, first of all, thank you, Eric, for letting me come in, and I want to thank the audience for taking a moment to listen to me. But everything started when I was a kid, just running. I just loved to run. Okay. And that's the way I got away from my mother when she wanted to send me. But didn't know that that's where I got my speed from, so I never got away much because she would catch me every time. But I Fifth Ward, Texas, across Margarita Street near Finnegan Park.
Okay.
Where
that's where all the great basketball games were.
Every week. That's
people come all the way out the other side of town came to Finnegan Park. You only came there if you could play.
If you could play, you didn't go to Finnegan Park if you couldn't play because you had the big end of the court and the small end of the court. So if you were on the big end of the court, you better have a game or you better go back home because you weren't going to get anything done but get whipped. But in the neighborhood, I'd always get chosen for the teams by the big guys. The older guys would always pick me because I was fast. And I never knew why they were picking me, so I just, whatever they had me do, I just run. But if we were playing softball in the park, in the field, I hit the inside the park home run because by the time they got to the ball, I was around in third coming home, and just loving, just the love and just the freedom of running, just being able to just get out and just do something. And then I used to walk over to Wheatley. Wheatley was 3.5 blocks from my house.
Okay.
So I would go over and I would look through the fence and I would see them playing football and I would see them running track. Not having great knowledge because my parents were older. So my dad was 50 when I was born. And I'm the oldest of the 7 at my house.
Wow. Okay. You're the oldest and he was 50?
He was 50 when I was born. So you can see where I'm going. That's why I told you earlier. My dad died in 97. I had one uncle to pass at 102. My sister right now, I have a living sister that's 100 years old and a living brother that's 93. So I've seen a lot of things, but they didn't know anything about the sports. My dad, of course, knew baseball because he was doing that time. So track and football really didn't cross his menu. And in order to play in sports, I had to get my sisters to sign my papers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and back then you could sell the soda pop bottles for a nickel. So we would gather bottles. Okay,
Thank you.
For those who don't know, the older people might know. You could go to the store, return those bottles, and get a nickel a bottle. That's how I paid for my insurance and my fees. My parents did not want me to do anything in sports. Wow. When I got to E.O. Smith, that's where I first started. And the first thing I did was track. So I wound up playing on the city championship football team at E.O. Smith, city championship track team. As a matter of fact, we won the championship for 12 years in a row. Back then, there was only 5 young middle schools in town, which was Miller, Ryan, E.O. Smith, the school that fed into
the north side. Who fed the north side?
It was Booker T. It was, I can't think of the school at this moment, but that was a school that fed into Booker T. Remember, there was only 5 high schools: Wheatley, Yates, Cashmere, Booker T. Yates, Wheatley. Then you had Aldine Carver, Central of Galveston, Beaumont, Charlton Pollard, and Hebert and Beaumont. You had Lincoln and Port Arthur, and Wheatley and San Antonio.
You had West Orange Stark.
No, West Orange Stark was not integrated.
Well, no, it wasn't called Stark. It was what was the black school?
It was another orange school.
Yeah, it was orange. Yeah, but I think it wasn't Stark. It wasn't Stark.
So, but my point was, so once I got started running. And I would say to my mother told me, you don't come home after school, you're going to get spanked. So I said, well, I'm going to take the whipping because I'm going to run. I want to run track and I'm going to run. And when I brought my first medal home, that's when things kind of changed. And it went from there to Wheatley, served under some great people, but my foundation came at E.O. Smith. And some of the people who I might name, basically no one probably would know their name, but Bear Bryant, who coached football there, Leslie Menfield, who was the head track coach, Cyrus Lancaster and Aaron Jackson, who came in from Southern University, stayed with them not only from E.O. Smith, but through Wheatley, where I was a starting halfback at Wheatley. I made varsity in my 10th grade year because I was fast.
Yeah, fast. Speed.
So I was able to make varsity team starting the 10th grade because back then, middle school was 7th, 8th, and 9th. High school was 10th, 11th, and 12th. So I was able to make varsity football and varsity track when I got to Wheatley as a 10th grader.
Wow.
Yeah. So they made state my first year there. Of course,
Excuse me for interrupting. Now, it was Bethany wasn't the coach. It was another guy to coach at TSU when you were in high school.
When I first got there, it was Stan Wright.
That's what I'm saying. The great Stan Wright.
Stan Wright.
Now, when was the first time they talked to you about potentially coming to TSU?
It was around my junior year. Around my junior year. But also, one of my teammates' brothers ran at Texas Southern. Okay, so I really can't. And he was the one of the people who actually talked them and let them, really talk to me about going to Texas Southern. Because remember, I almost went to Texas A&I to play football.
Oh, really?
My cousin Sid Blanks
Sid Blank's your cousin.
Sid Blanks was at A&I, and so Gil Stanky came to recruit me to go to Texas A&I.
Tell the listening audience who Sid Blanks, just a list tidbit on what
He was a starting running back for the Houston Oilers back
go.
in the day, and he was.
And what high school did he come from?
He came out of Del Rio.
Del Rio.
Del Rio,
I was gonna say he wasn't from Houston.
No, and his son also played at the University of Texas, Lance Blanks.
Oh, basketball.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Madison to UT to he went to the Timberwolves. Right. From the Timberwolves to San Antonio, and then now he's commentator on most of the stuff.
Where?
He's in the NBA.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's commentator.
Okay.
And they had one other cousin who played for the Atlanta Braves.
And who was that?
That's Lance Blanks.
Man, the Blanks. I got to start attaching you to the Blankses out of Houston. Okay. All right, now I interrupted you.
My brother played basketball from Wiley.
For a while?
Yeah.
He's on one of those Wheatley. Which one of the Wheatley teams he was on?
He didn't really start playing until he got to college and made the team at Wiley.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
He just went to Wiley and said, I'm going to walk on and play basketball.
Walked on and became the starting center.
Get out of here.
Yes, sir.
And that's when Wiley, family, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but Wiley was in the SWAC at one time.
Yes,
and Wiley at one time
was tough.
Kind of ruled the SWAC a little bit.
Wiley was tough in those schools.
Yeah, Wiley was tough because how I know is that our head coach went to Wiley, and back in the day, the recruiting system was then, you graduated from TSU, you graduated from Wiley, you graduated from PV. When you went out to these high schools and coach, you generally gonna send your player where? To where you went to school at.
Right.
And that's what coach did that. Mostly all the Mohawk football players, when we went to PVIL, coach would send them straight to Wiley. and we had a coach at Prairie View that at Texas at Waco Moore. The head coach was from Wiley. So sometimes they would bump in. He trying to send the line. He was a line coach. He was trying to send the lineman to PV. And the head coach was trying to send them all to Wiley.
I'm going to ask you a question since you mentioned Moore High. That we continue on with that. So, who's the greatest Olympian from Moore High?
From Moore High.
What Olympian went to Moore High?
I'm trying to think. I don't even know.
3-time Olympian and world champion.
Goodness, tell me.
Fred Newhouse.
No, Fred Newhouse from East Texas.
No. Fred Newhouse went to Moore High.
Where?
Guaranteed.
Oh, I know of.
He came in after me. He was recruited by Coach Wright. There was 2 Wrights. There was Stan Wright at TSU.
And it's one at Prairie View.
Right, Coach Wright at Prairie View.
No, was his name Stan Wright too?
No, he was. I can't think of it at this time.
See, that's what used to confuse me. I used to think, okay, so the guy left Texas Southern went to Prairie View did the same thing.
No,
so there was 2 different Wrights.
2 different Wrights.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay,
right.
2 different Wrights.
Yeah.
Now I knew
Fred ran at
Felix Johnson.
Felix Johnson
went to Prairie View.
Right.
The 800 was Olympian. I know. Yeah, I know.
Fred Newhouse was from Moore High,
Waco,
Texas.
Okay. So.
But getting back into it, I got a scholarship to Texas Southern. I thought I was the greatest thing that ever walked on the track until I got to TSU and found out what the SWAC in Texas Southern, what college track was really like. And we had absolutely fabulous people. At TSU at that time, that was Jim Hines, that was Clyde Duncan, Ray Sadler, you had Arnaldo Bristol, also 6'8" Olympian.
It was a kid from Dallas Madison that was a state 100 and 200 meter champ. I can't think of it. He was kind of stocky, light skinned.
Bobby Evans. We came in together.
Bobby Evans. That was his name. Bobby Evans.
We all came in together. And Bobby was a twin.
Oh, he had a twin?
He had a twin brother. But he didn't come in. Twin brother stayed with football wherever he went. But Bobby came in with me. Bernard Cage from Detroit, Michigan. Eddie LeBlanc from
Robert
Dr.
Taylor.
Dutchess.
Robert Taylor
was later. I ran with Robert.
Later.
I ran with Robert and Ernest Williams and Willie Polk my last year.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, we ran 40 flat at the PV relays. Yeah. And we ran 40.1 several other places. But don't forget Ken Burrows ran track.
Yeah.
So we all were there together. So
I think you guys ruined me because in one of my podcasts earlier, and I had another guy that called me and said, Rose, I agree with you. He said, we ain't been the Flying Tigers since Ainsley Armstrong.
Okay.
That's what the guy said. We ain't been the Flying Tigers since Ainsley Armstrong. Well, actually, since Bethany. Yeah, Coach Bethany. And see, that's why I tell people the significance of a coach. Sometimes people say, you got to have the players, you got to have that. Yes, you do, but you got to have a coach.
Well, you got to remember, too,
you got to have a coach.
after Coach Wright left and became the sprint coach at the Olympic team, and he left, he was left Texas Southern. That's a whole different story. We won't even go into that part right now. Clifford Paul took over track.
Did Coach Paul coach track?
Coach Paul was our track coach.
Now I'm being funny.
That's how,
Did he know what he was doing?
I'll put it this way. That's the team he took. We went to Mexico City. And I got to Mexico City with Coach Paul. So it was me. You had Darryl Barlow. You had several kids from Worthing. You had several kids from Worthing. Judy Dyer.
Yeah, Judy Dyer, remember?
Okay, Norma Harris.
And Dorothy.
Miles.
Dr. Miles.
Big Dot.
Yeah, Big Dot.
So we all went to Mexico City. Matter of fact, also Wyoming Attias and Tennessee State was there.
Right.
So we were there all that year for '68. Before the games, we went to Mexico City, and that was under Jack Paul. Now after Paul, Dave Bethany took over. That's when Bethany took over. And then in '70, when I graduated, started working. I became Bethany's graduate assistant. I was there for 3 years with him as graduate assistant.
Yeah, we die hard Tigers. We just when the TSU relays roll around, and I had a talk with UAN family. UAN Hunt is going to be one of my next guests. He's an ex-TSU Flying Tiger also. I couldn't get her or Coach Blank's schedule worked out, and so when her schedule worked out, Coach Blank's worked out. So she's going to be on my one or second show. We were talking about, and I was telling her, and I think you said the same thing, so I got to calm myself down because I was always saying, why? We need a new coach because we're not the Flying Tigers no more. I don't understand it. Our reputation should be able to get some guy. We have one of the best high school relays that come to town, and we can't get any of these kids to want to go to TSU. And you and yourself will tell me it's about funding, it's about this, and it's about that. And I'm like, okay.
Well, having worked on that level on a small time, and then having been for the last 30, 40 years almost in a position where people are able to go out and recruit and get kids. Mm-hmm. Coach Duncan is doing the best he could without having, until lately in some new years, the kind of staff that he needed to help him.
Okay.
See, because at one time, remember his son, Cotton Duncan Jr., was with him.
Right.
So when you don't have the facilities and you don't have the staff and the funding to actually go out and get to some places to recruit some kids, and you try to get them locally, well, if A&M comes in and they're trying to get all the kids over in Marshall, and they're going to come in and throw this money at them, and you got over here a budget, you're trying to hold your program together. Right. So, like I say, having been there and seen this thing, it would be different if I didn't know anything about it, but I've seen it. I've been right there with it and watched people. I watched Coach Bethany try to get things. He had to fight like hell to get things, to get the kids he had in.
Stop. That's my point, Coach, when I be talking to you and Luann, that Coach Bethany didn't have no money, but he still some kind of way got great.
Well, but he
got so creative, he started going over to Jamaica and the Bahamas and stuff.
But he became a part of the international program. And as an international individual involved in international track and field, you can do that. But at the same time, some things were offered to him that may not be offered at this time. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So things were offered back during those times where you were able to bring in situations and people. But then look at it now. All that cut off. It wasn't because of the coach change. It was because of the situational change. At one time, Glenn had one of the finest programs in the country.
Right.
But they have to, 90% of their program were from overseas.
Okay.
So when those fundings cut off and you couldn't bring them in and pay that money for them to be brought in here, it opened a whole lot of things. Washed it out. Yeah. So, but look at it this way. As strong as Westbury was, we stay strong in track because right now, and I'm trying to make a point, is that we have our own people back. My distance coach is one of my runners.
Okay.
Our hurdle coach is a former Westbury young lady who went to Olympics in 2012.
Okay.
Ran at LSU. Our present coach who won state girls in 2010, Sharita Jackson, is back with us. And she was our first state champion. We can't get what we're getting because everybody else has the HISD All-Star team. They're getting our kids gone to the suburbs.
Right.
So they're there getting the kids, they open doors and here they come. People move. We've had several athletes move out of Westbury High School, go to the suburbs, couldn't make it, now they want to try to come back.
Right.
So when you get those situations going where you can't get the kind of kids you want because your school may not look like the other schools. We wanted to go to Texas Southern. We wanted to go to Grambling. We wanted to go to Prairie View. We wanted to go to Philander Smith. We wanted to go to Talladega. We wanted to go to North Carolina State, North Carolina A&T. Okay? But when you go there and you see what's there, look at the basketball team at TSU. Look at the facility they got.
Right.
Help the people build more stuff for the track program so that it becomes comparatively well to anybody else. You know, if you can get the stuff they need to get the support they need, we're going to go. But you got to get the athletes. And I'm going to tell you this. You can be the greatest coach in the world. But if you don't get the people who come in there and can run, can jump, hop, skip, hurdle, if they can't catch a football or throw a football or block or tackle, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
I got 2 guys right now that became not only the state coaches of the year, but the national high school coaches of the year. My twins out of Summer Creek. Those are my boys from Westbury High School.
And they moved out to...
they're coaching out there.
Oh, coaching.
They got kids. Okay, so if you got a school with 3,500 kids,
right,
you got at least 700 boys to choose from.
Yeah, thank you.
You got a school with 2,000 kids, and half of them are girls. I'm not picking on the girls, but half of them are girls. Half of them don't want to do anything. So now you're down to maybe 200-300 kids that you're sharing with football, baseball, basketball, track, cross country, so everything. You know what I'm saying? My guy at Klein Forest, Ramon Smith, that's another one of my guys, another state champion. I got another kid that's coaching over at Stafford, Chad Jones, another state champion in 5A.
And you coached all these kids?
Coach all. I got a guy who right now is in Florida. Up in Georgia. State champion. Okay, then Benny Brazil right now, where is he at? LSU, assistant men's coach.
Yeah, Benny Brazil made the Show Olympics, didn't he?
He and Bono Kamani. Okay. They both were in Athens in 2004. Westbury High School is the only school in the world to have 2 guys off the same team in the finals of the same event in an Olympic game, and both of them
at the same time.
They were in the finals of the 400-meter hurdles.
Same high school.
Same high school, same team.
Family, just think about that for a moment. What type of high school team was that? Did y'all ever get challenged?
Yeah.
Did y'all ever get challenged?
Many times we had a relay team that ran 314 and got left home. Because back then they only picking 2 teams to go to state.
Right.
We ran 314. We ran faster than the other 3
that qualified
to come to state. But we couldn't get there because they were running
in this region.
This region is so hot.
Yeah,
region 3, 6A, Region 3, 5A, Region 3, period, is the hottest thing in the state of Texas.
Right.
So if you can make it out of here, you're going to get somewhere.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
No, you good. You good. Cause that's what I want you to do.
I can't help you.
You're spitting info, man. You're spitting info, things I did not know. Because like I said, you and opened my eyes because I go to the relays and I be hurt.
Sure.
And I be like, it's our relays and we can't get anybody to come in first place. And I mean, it used to be, and trust me, back in the day, we didn't win every race at the TSU relay, but we were in every race.
Yeah,
we were in every race.
I could name when Bob Hayes came here and he got spanked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay. We were in every race.
But again, too, you remember too this: you can't get kids in who just run if they can't pass the classes.
Right.
So I've got 3 kids over there right now
at Westbury.
Yeah.
Oh, Westbury.
Some of the top kids in the SWAC right now, and right now in the 800 meters, I got a hurdler just came as a freshman. He's going to be good down the line. 2 guys in the cross country and stuff. So, but those kids are getting ready to graduate. Get what I'm saying? I don't want to send Coach Duncan somebody's going to come in there and run a 9.3 100-meter dash. Okay, a 9.7, and then can't pass the class, and next thing you know, he's gone, and now they're accusing TSU of not graduating the senior.
Right.
So you also got to look at that from that standpoint too. You got to get the kids. You can get a lot of kids come in, but are they going to be there? Are they going to stay there? Okay. So we don't have where we got. I mean, right now They got more situations, but you go to LSU, you got 20 tutors for one kid.
Yeah. You ain't got the luxury for some guy to come in and then don't be qualified to run.
There you go.
Yeah, I need everybody that comes in to be able to run.
Be able to run and be able to stay in school.
That's what I'm saying. When I say run, I mean be qualified, eligible to run. You got to be eligible to run. But Coach, you opened my eyes to quite a few things right here in regards to the track program, because that's what I wanted to talk about. I told a gentleman that was like me, I said, hey man, because he's been asking me, when is Coach Banks going to be on? Because we trying to get an answer as to why we can't be the Flying Tigers.
And like I said, just give it a little time. And I don't say that just in hope.
Right.
I'm saying I've seen the kids that have been recruited, but they have got to adjust to a college life and have got to come in and understand this is what you have to do.
Right.
You got to be able to get out here, go to class, take care of your business, pass, and not come in and think that college is just about running and partying.
Right.
Okay, so we also have a new breed of youngster coming in too. You got new kids with different ideas. I deal with them every day, trying to get them to focus on what's about life. How you going to get from point A to point B and get out here and deal with life once I let you go from me because I can't help you.
Right.
What can I do for you once you leave me?
Yeah.
So if we as high school coaches help to prepare those youngsters to get to college and help get them go to the HBCUs, where some of them really need to be, because that would be home for them.
Thank you.
That would actually be home for them. It would be a place where they can go and flourish rather than going somewhere thinking because it's D1 that all you're going to do is go there and it's going to happen to you and it's going to be automatic. That's not the way it works.
That's not the way it works. And they talking about, well, we can't get, and once again, I bring up Bethany. I know it's a different situation, but some type of way Bethany got it. And I want you to tell the listening audience, and we winding down, we talk sometime to old heads. What do you think Tommy Fulton would be at right now? And with them being paid now in a monetary situation.
Tommy Fulton would be one of the highest paid track athletes in the country. He almost won the SWAC by himself.
By himself.
Okay, so that's again, you're talking about a different breed of kid.
Yeah.
Different breed.
Didn't have to tell Tommy to do it. You see Tommy running in the rain, in the heat, and whatever. He's running.
We go back, to your school.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy Horse.
Mm-hmm.
You know who Crazy Horse is?
No.
He went to Yates. Okay. One of the greatest half-milers ever come through the state. Okay. Crazy Horse the reason they called him Crazy Horse because he wore a bridle in his mouth when he ran.
Get out of here. No, he didn't.
Check the Yates background. You had a guy like Eddie Hughes.
He put a bridle in his mouth.
That's right. And then he would let parachutes go when he crossed the line. He had two parachutes in his hand, he would run, had a bridle. And when he get to the line, he'd do like this and two little parachutes would come out.
When did he go to college?
He didn't.
See, that's what you're talking about.
That I know.
That's what you're talking about.
Okay, then you go back Booker T. Washington. You and Sloppy Joe Jones.
Yes.
Got the preview with a great Smith, but it ended there.
Yeah.
I don't mind being
never made it to the pro and guys.
But you also got to finish school or get through it all.
You got to go to class. You got to go to class. So I just tell people, I said, man, if Tommy Fulton was here right now, he'd be on a box of Wheaties. He'd be driving Lamborghinis, and that this boy family would run the 800, take about a 30-minute blow, then go run the mile, take a 30-minute blow, and then go run. What's that next one? 5,000?
5,000. You got 5,000, 10,000.
What did he run? 5 or 10?
He ran. Sometimes he ran both. He ran all of them. At one point, he has run every one of those races.
I mean, and won every one of them. Yeah. And I'm talking about this is at the TSU relays where you got the other schools. This is when all the SWAC schools showed up at the TSU relays, and it was like, it was off the hook.
But see, that's the other thing too, and I'm gonna be quick with this. TSU has become, because we don't have the participation from the colleges, except for those schools that are coming out of the north. Okay. Look at those colleges that are coming to TSU now during spring break that are participating. We can't get even all of our SWAC schools that used to be. It used to be that you would go to TSU relays, you go to the Pelican relays, then you go to Prairie View relays, you would do this and you would support all the schools. Right. Everybody. But we don't have that support. So you got the high school kids.
Coach, because somebody give me out the money, but they ain't got the money to come. How do they have the money to come in before in the past?
Coach, people pick where they want to go.
Okay.
People pick what they want to do.
Do schools get not paid per se, but do they finance them to come to a track meet? Because that might be the difference right there. Hey,
Well, your program, okay, TSU Relays help fund the track program along with whatever other money they get. The Pelican Relays should help fund the Southern University track team, whatever they're going to, that's what.
No, I'm saying if they want TSU to go to A&M Relays, A&M going to pay for us to come.
No.
So every school, no.
No, you're going to pay. You're paying your fee to go. Look, track is the most expensive sport in the world.
What?
Every meet I run, every meet we run in high school, costs us $100 to $150 a week. Every meet.
Right.
And if you take your JV team, that's another $50 to $80.
Wow.
And that's it. You pay for track.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like much, but once you start adding these meets up and what have you, that's a lot of money.
If you go to we used to go to what helped Westbury High School out was that we traveled and we would get out on the street and raise money. We raised money. We went from every year we went to LSU to run. The weekend after LSU, we drove to Fayetteville, Arkansas, because that was the only two places that had indoor tracks. We didn't want our kids to go to college not knowing how to run indoors. So we would travel to go there. That's money. You're talking about $2,000 a trip.
For sure.
To get out. Now, right now to go to A&M to run just up there in College Station, you're paying $20 per athlete per event, $30 for your relays. And if you go there and stay all night and stay overnight, now you're paying for hotel fees and food and gas. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you get a bus, if the district decides they're not paying for the bus to go, your school has got to pay for that bus.
And then you got to go to the administration and say, no, we can use that money for something else.
Okay, yeah. So that's the part. Track costs. So for Coach Duncan, for the other people that go to the Texas Relays, go to Kansas, go to Drake, you're paying for transportation, hotels, fees to run. Even if you don't win a medal, you got to pay. Track costs. In the school district, they may take care of everything they want to, every other team there, but you only get so, unless you're able to drive your own buses, which we don't do in HISD, but if you're able to drive your own buses, then you can go get the coach, go get a bus and drive wherever they want to.
So that's opened my eyes a little bit about TSU because trust me, I'm down on it. I don't understand.
I understand. I'm with you.
I don't understand how we can't be the Flying Tigers no more.
But we got to help support the high schools and tell them, look here, here's a place where you can go that has a history of great track. Let your kids go there, get an education.
Mr. Womack is the broker and president and CEO of Womack Development Investment Realtors, a private minority-owned full-service commercial and residential real estate brokerage firm. Over the years, he has been known to be a respected community businessman and partner and has received many awards. Now, he sells real estate everywhere, but this specialty is right here in 3rd Ward. This guy can get it taken care of for you. All right, then. Coach, you have enlightened my eyes to so much track that I am so appreciative. You know, I feel like there's so much more that you can give us. Is there a possibility you might can come back to the show?
We'll work that out once the season's done.
Okay, yeah. And what I want you to do is, if possible, if you could get one of your past state champions, maybe Mike can attend or
that's
something.
That's a possibility if I can get hold to him.
If you can get hold to him, okay. Yeah. Well, family, I am so one more time appreciative of Coach coming in and enlightening us to. I try to do different things here, and so track and field. Be it the listening audience, you guys may not know, track has a lot of fans.
Absolutely,
has a lot. I got couple of friends that they don't care nothing about going to no basketball tournament, state football playoffs. I'll be trying to get them to go to, but they'll call me when it's time for the UT relays and the TSU relays. Hey, you want to go to the TSU relays?
Right.
You want to go to the
Prairie View relays?
Prairie View and UT relays? Yeah. So track is a big thing to a lot of people. And so this is why I'm so appreciative of Coach coming in and talking to us. One more time, I want you guys down below to write a comment. Let us know if you appreciated Coach coming. And if we have any of our Westbury people that follow Coach or TSU people that follow Coach, went to high school with him, shout out at him and let him know you appreciate him coming in and talking to us. Coach, I want to thank you again.
You're welcome.
And family, I want everyone to, if you're in the vicinity of one of these softball games for the ladies, baseball game for the guys, please go out and support one of your SWAC schools, MEAC school, SIAA, CIAA, SIA schools. Go support. All of the black universities need all the support that you guys can give them. So until I meet you guys again, peace out.